I'm Joey.T.Cartoon.P and you're watching the Cartoon Palooza. It has been 10 years since Up has come out in theaters and literally scarred me for life. And I mean that in the most literal way possible. Not emotionally scarring, but literally scarring me for life. So back when I was in high school, I wanted to go see the movie with my then girlfriend. And then at the time, I wanted to heat up some food because I didn't want to eat some overpriced theater food. And I like my pizza. And when I like my pizza, I don't like it microwaved. I like it in the oven. So when I heat up this pizza, I'm putting it into the oven, but then I realize I want to see the movie previews and I don't want to miss out on the film. I take the pizza out of the oven a little too early and then... The rest is history. Got this burned for life, for the rest of my life. That's my story on how Up scarred me for life, and let's actually talk about the movie. Pixar has made plenty of successful movies. One of those films that have helped the studio reach the level of success it has is the 2009 film directed by Pete Docter and Bob Peterson, Up. Back when it first came out, the movie was nominated for Best Feature Film, and not just animated, but contending against movies like The Hurt Locker, Inglourious Basterds, and Avatar. Not only was this the first time in almost 20 years since an animated film was nominated for Best Picture, this was also the first computer animated film to receive the honor. And while it's won Best Animated Film, it was up against movies like Princess and the Frog, Coraline, and The Fantastic Mr. Fox. So unlike previous films where the Best Animated Feature category gets labeled as the Best Pixar Award, it's enough to say that it had some solid competition. Now looking back at the film, which will be reaching its 10th anniversary this year, it's worth examining to see if this movie is still worth the hype. Does the film still hold up? See what I did there? Our movie is about Carl. He's an old recluse with big ambitions about his wife passing away, and he's pressured into moving into a retirement home. While some people would accept their destiny, Carl says no, and in the craziest move in human history, takes his house to the air with thousands of helium balloons. He flies his house to the destination his wife wanted to go during her lifetime, along the way meeting strange and exciting friends and foes. One is the cutest stowaway you've ever seen trying to get all of his Boy Scout badges, a giant flightless bird not played by Caitlin Olsen, and an eccentric explorer with his army of talking dogs.
Hi there.
Now to say this is strange is an understatement, however it works with the movie's theme. Not only do I think this movie still holds up really well, I think it's even more relatable for today's generation than when it came out 10 years ago. I'll start by talking about the things that might not work in the film for people, and that's the strangeness. We live in a day and age where you can pick apart plot points and consistencies, like how we set up a man who can barely walk up and down his stairs is now able to move his house on foot halfway through the film. Or better yet, how does the exotic explorer manage to stay alive this whole time? The man's sword fighting with a sword that's his own measurable weight. Can these things distract people? Yeah, but ultimately they do serve a purpose in the movie. Despite not working on real-world logic, the movie manages to create its own world with consequences, without seeming aloof to logic. Despite seeming strange, having Carl fight his icons is a metaphor to his own struggle for adventure and managing his own way of life. He's fighting to protect a kid and a bird who's opened him up to a lifetime of adventure, while Charles the Explorer is still holding on to the past and failures. One guy has accepted his life and the other is still clinging. Despite the fact that age separates the both of them, like many of the images in the film, representing a tug-of-war the characters face towards living life. Do you live for the expected or unexpected? And how well would you roll with the punches of life?
Metaphor. Sorta.
One of the best moments in the film is a critical moment for Carl. He beats up a man who accidentally damages his mailbox, and we see how the impact of his actions led us to where we are. We know this is serious, like, did you see how much blood was coming out of that guy's head? Haven't seen that much blood in a Disney movie since Maleficent got stabbed. Afterwards, we see Carl go to court and go to a group home he was alluded to going earlier, indicating that his consequences of his actions and anxieties lead up to the movie's biggest asset and why it still holds up today. Carl's anxiety towards finishing his wife's goals can be reflected with a current trend going on called FOMO, or fear of missing out. With hearing about all the exciting goals and ambitions people have, and seeing how people get to live their lives doing exciting things on social media, make us reflect on our lives thinking if we're doing anything great. For many, it's a motivator to examine what it is that stresses us out in life and to see how we can approach it for the future. Now for others, it's an emotional barrier that adds more stress to an already stressful life. While social media isn't in the movie, the idea of missing out on life at the expense of, well, life, Carl is left struggling with getting to accomplish his goals before he goes away. Each time he looks at Ellie's book of adventures, he's staring at a blank page towards the adventures he should have been accomplishing. Even when he's attempting to take Ellie's goal of moving her house to Paradise Falls a little too literally, obstacles like Russell, Kevin, and Charles are impeding his goals that, despite having taken his house to the vacation spot he and his life were fascinated for years, still feels like he isn't doing it right.
I came all this way just to get stuck in the wrong end of this rock pile?
So it becomes more rewarding when he realizes the little things in life do shape the person he's become and continue to be. This is my favorite line in the film, coming from Russell when he's talking about his dad going out for ice cream.
That might sound boring, but I think the boring stuff is the stuff I remember the most.
I hear that line and I instantly go, genius. This is what makes the movie work perfectly. You have flying houses, exotic birds, and talking dogs flying biplanes. But at the end of the day, it's a scene where Russell and Carl are sitting back spotting blue and red cars while eating ice cream. Nowadays, people get so wrapped up on what they ought to do versus the things we took care of already. What makes our lives work despite chaos getting in the way. It's the perfect metaphor for balancing the stress of life with the hopes of doing something great. And it's no surprise that Pete Docter would go on to write and direct Inside Out afterwards, because this level of understanding the human condition in simple metaphors makes sense. And it's why I love animation and why I feel like this movie still holds up 10 years after it first premiered. So comment below, let me know what you think. Do you still think Up holds up? Let me know in the comment section below. And while you do that, think about donating to my Patreon, where if you donate, you get a special perk like a special credit in this video, like right here, or a special priority to have your movie or show requested on the show, like the topic for this video today. Comment below, let me know what you think, like the video, subscribe to the channel, do all that fun stuff. It's always a pleasure making these videos. Thank you for watching this review on the Cartoon Palooza.